Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, David Charon. Stephanie is off tonight. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a Reiki master teacher, mindset coach, and transformation enthusiast. I specialize in helping people heal their emotional pain, PTSD, and childhood wounds, eliminate chronic stress and anxiety, end self sabotage and bad habits, and become free to create their best lives. Now, folks, whether you're watching this live or as a replay, please interact in the chat with your comments and questions, and I'll be sure to respond. Now, I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you being here with me. So, if you are ready to dive in, type dive in the comments. Now, Stephanie is off, but she should be pinning this to the top of the group. Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, everyone, tonight's training is about change versus transformation. So, let me tee up the call tonight with a little bit of context for you. Chances are, if you're watching this, you want a better life for yourself. Maybe you want higher self esteem, greater personal power, healthier relationships, optimal physical health, financial abundance, less stress about bills, right? Resilience to stress in general, or even just a deeper sense of meaning and purpose in your life. Now, if you're like many women that we work with, you've probably been in the cycle of pain and disappointment for years, but you haven't lost hope for a life with more love and happiness. You probably tried, the typical things, reading books, talking with friends, watching videos, even seeing a therapist for months or even years, but you feel stuck and frustrated at your lack of real progress. Even when you make small improvements, you still seem to backslide into old patterns. And if that's you, you're not alone. I feel you. In fact, that was really where I was stuck at for a long time myself. So let me ask you, do you feel like it's just you got bad luck? Do you feel like maybe you're just too broken? Do you feel like you're the victim of negative people and circumstances? Or are you starting to feel like you just don't have what it takes to live a peaceful, happy life? Now, if any of that sounds like you, type me in the comments. Okay. I love seeing you guys interact. So let me know if any of that sounds like you. Be honest. So, why is it then that you've been doing all the things that we're told you're supposed to do to change your life, right? And yet you haven't experienced that breakthrough that you've really been hoping for? Well, I suggest that it may be because you've been looking for change when what you really need is transformation. So, what do I mean by that? And I like to illustrate things with symbols and metaphors. For me, change is like it's like adding a few spices, new spices to old ingredients with the hopes of it becoming a new recipe. Transformation, on the other hand, is embracing the possibilities of the unknown and creating something brand new, drawing from an infinite variety of ingredients. Change is linear, mechanical, time bound, which you might call Newtonian. Transformation, on the other hand, is nonlinear. It's really magical, it's timeless, and it's a quantum leap forward in your life. Change takes time and effort, right? Starting from the knowledge you have, and it really depends on the knowledge that you gain along the way. Now, transformation only requires imagination and the right tools, and it can happen in an instant. Now, change for most people is like it's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. Right? Transformation is deep healing. Change is chasing happiness. Transformation is becoming a happy person. Change is like searching for something you need to fill a hole in your life. Does that sound familiar? Transformation is like returning to wholeness that doesn't really need anything. Change is putting gas, new oil, and air in the tires of your old clunky car. Transformation is like trading it in for a finely tuned luxury vehicle. And change for a lot of people, sometimes it can feel forced, right? Like a chore. And transformation feels natural. And the reason I share this is really just to kind of summarize the lesson. Change is doing things differently. Transformation is becoming a different person, a better version of yourself. All right, so now I want to make this practical. So let me give you some examples of change. Change might be reading a self-help book and getting some new ideas, talking to a therapist and maybe understanding your dysfunction better, telling yourself you'll try harder next time, and maybe having a temporary improvement. Changes going on a diet, right? Losing some weight and then gaining it back. It can be superficial distractions like surfing dating sites. Anyone do that? Binge watching a new show or shopping, what you ladies call retail therapy. Or change could be ending that one toxic relationship and then getting right into another one. So tell me, anyone try any of those things? All right, comment yes in the comments if any of those sort of ring true for you. So, and yes, someone asked, don't we need to make changes in order to embrace the transformation? That's an important question and a key distinction, but it's about trying versus doing. I'm going to kind of elaborate on that in a little bit. So we talked about change a little bit, right? So what does transformation look like? Now, I want you to lean in here and see if any of these examples sound maybe more appealing to you. All right, in terms of transformation, well, our client Cindy, who transformed fear, anxiety, and sleepless nights after leaving a physically abusive relationship, transforming that into fearlessness, confidence, and peace of mind. Our client Elsa, you've heard us talk about her before, who transformed childhood wounds and a history of toxic relationships into a deep healing, a completely new relationship with her mother, and then going on to live an adventurous life and actually finding her dream guy. Transformation is like our client Adele, who had a tendency for road rage, transformed that into calm acceptance and a feeling of ease. Our client Blanche, who transformed anger and feeling numb after literally years of horrible abuse into a profound emotional release and finding new joy, wonder, and healed relationships with her grandkids. We had our client Lynn, who transformed years of stagnation in traditional counseling into peace and optimism after literally just a few short weeks. We've talked about her before as well. Our client Paul, who transformed suicidal depression into a desire to live a great life and be of service to others. We had Jean, who transformed her inability to forgive herself and others into a healed and happy relationship with her estranged son, something that she deeply desired. Ashley, who transformed low self-esteem and people-pleasing into confidence, healthy boundaries, and assertive communication. Very powerful. Another example is our client Donnie, who transformed his fear of death from being raised by a hypochondriac mother into peace, trust, and confidence. And he was even diagnosed with a terminal illness. I mean, this transformation went on to live his best life, and he actually outlived his doctor's prognosis. Rachel, we've talked about her before, she transformed a history of codependency and toxic relationships into unquestionable self-worth and value. And then she went on to find a loving, supportive, and healthy partner. We've got John, Rose, Anne, Elizabeth, all people we've worked with who transformed a history of failed relationships and then went on to marry their dream partners. We may or may not be able to make it, but we were blessed to have been invited to John's wedding coming up this year. And again, to kind of bring it home a little bit more, our very own Stephanie McPhail, who you know and love. And she's talked about this before too. She transformed her fear of speaking in front of a group of powerful, influential businesswomen into an engaging, articulate, and memorable event that was, and I was there, it was literally her best performance to date. And then yours truly. And for me, transformation was going from low self-esteem, really just apathy, not really caring about life, overthinking. Anyone suffered with that? Suicidal depression, poor health. Some of you might know a couple of years ago, I was at death's door in the hospital for 3 months. Recently, my eyesight started declining. I thought I'd need reading glasses. And for years, literally decades, I had seasonal pollen allergies. And we'll talk about transformation. For me, all that changed into confidence, optimism. I found just an incredible sense of passion and purpose in my life. I developed healthier habits. It literally improved my eyesight And from making a transformation related to that reactive response that we commonly call allergies last year, this springtime season with all the tree pollen, I've literally had zero allergies with no need for medication. Now, I could go on and on about the incredible transformations that we've witnessed in people who have, maybe like yourself, tried everything else without success. That's a lot, but are you getting the picture? So I see some yeses in the comments. So cool. So guys, let me ask you now, and I really want you to interact and kind of share with me your feelings on this. What is it that you would like to transform in your life? Who would you like to become? All right, go ahead and let us know in the comments. All right, and I know this takes some self-honesty and bravery, but this is a safe space here. Okay, thank you. So let us know. And again, if I don't get to address your comments or questions in the live, I'll go back and address them after the fact, or if you're watching this as a replay. So again, change versus transformation. Change, doing things, rearranging old ingredients, hoping for a new result, doing the same things over and over, hoping that you'll get lucky, right? Okay, versus transformation. Profoundly different experience of life. I see free myself from guilt of past mistakes. That was huge. And I suffered with that for a long time. And now I have a peace of mind, not in spite of my past mistakes, but because of them. Because I now recognize that even when you screw up, you can choose differently as soon as the next moment. Mistakes aren't bad. Mistakes are a sign that you're trying. Okay? And we all make mistakes. And just remember that successful people have failed more often than unsuccessful people have even tried. Mistakes are only bad if you refuse to learn the lesson. So that's a great one. Happy and at peace with life. What more do you need? When you have peace of mind, which really is the most common side effect of this transformation I'm talking about, all the rest is just details. You know what I mean? Like when you wake up just feeling okay, then life becomes an adventure again. You're like, all right, I don't know what's coming around the corner, but I have peace. Someone else is sharing, being confident in my worth, my self-esteem. 99 out of 100 times when we work with people, that is the linchpin. That's the big thing. And honestly, when you have that confidence, that self-worth that doesn't require validation from anyone else, a sense of self-esteem, not arrogance or pride, but more of a balance. That is pure gold. It's invaluable. I need direction and not to be so indecisive. Yeah. If you had clarity and trust in yourself, a level of confidence, you would not obsess over direction. You'd probably realize that direction is that next step. You'd probably also recognize that decisions can lead us down a whole bunch of different paths. I mean, has anyone ever made what they thought was a good decision and then something bad happened? Or screwed up, made a decision they thought was bad and then something good came out of it? But yeah, direction, not overthinking it, having a sense of inspiration from your soul, intuition, and knowing that you can go with your gut instead of like hemming and hawing. That's it. So that's a good one. I like that. I need to figure out what I'm doing and where I'm going. You know what? There's only so far you can get by measuring your best course of action against what you thought was the best way to go or what other people want for you. When you make this transformation and cut out the noise and the static, that's when you start listening into your intuition and your soul guidance. For me, that was, really an experience of knowing myself at a profoundly deep level. And now I don't obsess over what I'm doing and where I'm going because the road rises up to meet me. And I'm greeted by meaningful coincidences, signs, synchronicities all the time. Even most of the time when I come on live with you, I don't know what I'm going to say half the time, but it comes to me. So there's not much obsessing over like figuring it out. I have a sense that I'm going in the right direction. So that's something that can be really powerful for you too. I love these. Keep them coming, guys. I'd like to have better self-esteem and confidence, find a loving relationship, and have healthy boundaries. Having healthy boundaries is a side effect of having self-esteem and confidence. Furthermore, exuding that vibe of someone who loves themselves and has healthy boundaries is, number one, going to weed out the people who otherwise would have taken advantage of you. And it's actually going to attract people who are not only going to respect your boundaries, but they'll support you and give you love, not for what they can get out of you, but for love's sake itself. I love that. Finally get to a healthy weight after a lifetime of obesity. You know what? It's funny. I was just talking with someone about that. Obesity is a symptom of a deeper issue. I don't know if this is true for you, but I've seen it the case a lot. Stephanie talks about this too. A lot of times, overeating, those unhealthy habits, is a coping mechanism. I had a client who came to me and she was sexually abused as a child. In order to feel safe and repel men whom she now feared, she started overeating and neglecting her personal hygiene. She got to a point later in life where, looking in the mirror, she doesn't like the way she looks or feels, but she still had that subconscious need to feel safe. We can transform the benefit, feeling safe, with the solution, being fit and healthy, instead of the problem, overeating. So imagine, how valuable would it be for you to believe, to know that you are even more safe being fit and healthy. I don't know if that is relevant to you, but again, when we do the core work and transform at a deep level, things like self-esteem and feeling safe and confident, you don't have the compulsion to overeat. You actually appreciate, love, and honor your body. Once you get out of that toxic internal environment and create a healthier one, your body knows how to heal itself. You will lose weight. That we see that happen all the time. I need to lose weight desperately, and that's my number one thing right now, besides finding my niche in life. Yeah. Again, there's, generally speaking, in my experience, an underlying cause to unhealthy habits, including weight. And you could say, oh, it's genetics, it's a glandular problem. The same intelligence that created the body heals the body. When it's in balance with its environment, externally and internally, it does what it is designed to do naturally, which is to thrive and be healthy and in balance. And again, genetics about, height and bone structure and stuff like that aside, you can achieve optimal health. Okay. And again, that's very often weight loss is a side effect. Confidence, self-esteem, forgiveness for myself, fear. These are fundamental things. Having confidence and self-esteem, being able to free yourself of the past through forgiveness for yourself and others, is a way to put that baggage down so you can walk more lightly through your life, enter into relationships with confidence. Strong, confident, happy, fearless, increase my self-esteem and not being so pessimistic. Yeah, gosh, again, these are so common. I used to always eat my emotions. It's my safety one. Yeah, I get that. So awesome. Great shares, guys. Thank you for that. And now, understandably, some of you might be thinking right now, okay, David, all that sounds wonderful, but how does this transformation actually work? So our favorite way, my favorite way of facilitating this transformation with our clients is a method of energy psychology called Psych-K. And the way it works is actually really simple. So let me put it to you this way. In life, you get what you think about all day long, whether you want it or not. I'll say that again. You get what you think about, what you focus on, more often than not, whether you want it or not. Now, the tricky part about this is that 95% of the time, what you think about regularly, what you focus on habitually, comes automatically from your subconscious programs that were created when you were young and impressionable, right? Birth through about age 5, 6, or 7. And also during emotionally intense events in your life. Now, for a lot of you, that's probably traumatic events. And that's the reason why you can consciously want, better things, desire a better life for yourself. But since the subconscious programs run the show most of the time, you wind up focusing on the past and those emotionally intense events, right? You don't remember what you had for lunch last Tuesday, but you remember the pain of abuse, narcissistic relationships, being bullied in school, right? And again, since the subconscious programs are still running, you keep focused on the past, and then you wind up self-sabotaging your conscious goals and desires, right? Anyone self-sabotage before? Anyone have unhealthy habits they might want to change? Yeah, we get that. Now, this is a bit of a fringe concept here, and really a tough pill to swallow for some people. But I want you to consider this. I want you to understand that nothing in your life has meaning except the meaning you give it. Now, kind of digesting that concept really requires some honest, non-judgmental self-assessment. Um, but and it requires that you set aside the idea of being a victim. And I know that's a tough one for a lot of people. Nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. Now, it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of power in that as well, and you're going to see why. Outside circumstances are what they are. It's our programming that makes us see things a certain way, which then results in our experience of those things as good or bad, right? I'll give you an example. Back in 2014, my workplace was closed. They were downsizing, and I was among 150 people who lost their jobs. Call center closed. That was the thing, right? Now, some of my coworkers were freaked out. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is unexpected. I didn't plan for it. I thought I was going to be working here till retirement, blah, blah, blah. While myself and a few others, same circumstance, I was actually excited about new prospects, right? So again, same situation, different programs or ways of perceiving the situation. And as a result, different experiences, different outcomes, right? So the key to having a different experience in your life, it isn't about everything just working out in your favor, the way you plan, the way you hope, the way you expect. It's about changing your programs, the way you process reality, so you naturally focus on positive outcomes more than negative possibilities. Now, again, I mentioned our favorite way of facilitating this transformation, Psych-K. It's really a user-friendly way to access and transform those programs so you naturally have a better life experience. And I'll give you an example. Programs like, and bear in mind, you may not even consciously be aware of these, right? Subconscious, they're running behind the scenes. But if you have programs like, I don't deserve to be happy, those can be shifted to programs like, I am completely worthy and deserving of the best in life. And that becomes your focus. That becomes your reality. Programs like, I'm not safe and men can't be trusted. All right, I hear that a lot. Those programs can be shifted to, I am safe and confident in my ability to choose the right partner. Sounds better, right? Feels better, doesn't it? So hopefully you get the idea. Now, the remarkable thing about this process is that it doesn't matter how old you are, how bad things were, or even how long you've been suffering. Here's the thing. Once you know what you want to experience instead, and you can sit down and journal about this, play with it, pretend anything were possible. Once you know what you want to experience instead, this reprogramming process can literally happen in as little as 2 to 5 minutes. And again, for people who are not initiated or not aware of this process, you might say, bullshit. Okay. But in my experience, personally and professionally, and I've been facilitating this for hundreds of clients around the world for over 10 years, the idea that change is a painful, lengthy, and difficult process, right? Or that you can't teach an old dog new tricks is a complete myth. So, my friends, in summary, I wanted to share this simple distinction between change and transformation with you tonight. When you're looking to change, you try something new. When you transform, you simply do what that better version of you would do naturally, without resistance. So, has this been helpful? Did I explain that okay? We're coming up on time, and I wanted to make sure that I got this point across to you. see someone saying Psyche really works. Yeah, yeah, we probably have. Psyche is awesome. Really made breakthroughs for me. Okay. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, guys. So awesome. Well, I love the interactions here, everyone. I hope this was helpful for you all. And again, sometimes it's the simple distinctions, right? Like we say all the time, small hinges swing big doors. So I hope this was helpful for you all. Now, as promised, if you're still with me here, if you stayed until the end, I have a special gift for those of you who, kind of resonate with my message tonight and want to start experiencing some of the same transformations for yourself that I shared with you earlier. So, as an exclusive gift for those of you watching this, I'm going to give you a $50 off gift code for your own Psyche session, your own mind reprogramming. If you take advantage of this, you're going to get to connect with me one-on-one, face-to-face. And in your session, what we're going to do is identify your biggest areas of opportunity for transformation, whether that's eliminating chronic stress and anxiety, healing your PTSD, right? Getting that big stone off your chest so you can get your head back above water, start to breathe again. And then from there, what we're going to do is paint the picture of what a better life looks like for you. I can share my own experience, but this isn't about me, right? Because you might want fame and fortune. You might want a modest and humble life with good health, money in the bank, and people around who love you. Whatever it is, you can have that, right? So we'll take the time to really paint that picture, get clear on what it looks like, what it sounds like, what that desired future reality feels like for you. And then we simply use the Psyche tools to program the mindset into your subconscious that will make that life a more natural unfolding. Now, the fact is, we've got a large group here. I do have limited spots on my calendar for individual sessions. And incidentally, this Psyche process we include in our Brilliant Life Blueprint. Okay. So if you want to, once my calendar gets booked up over the next week or so, I'm going to have to pull this down. So if this resonates for you and you want to experience real transformation, again, I can't make any guarantees, but I've had a number of people like Lynn who've said they've experienced more profound shifts in one, maybe two sessions with me than literally years of therapy. And I know that may sound outlandish to you, but I stand behind that. I can say that with authority. So if that sounds good, what you want to do is go to this website, this particular link, beinglovedshouldn'thurt.com/psych-k. All right, that's beinglovedshouldn'thurt.com/PSYCH-K. Put more information, testimonials, other stuff like that. You'll see the pricing on there. You'll see all the details. And down at the bottom is a button to click book your session now. And then you can enter in that coupon code that I created for you right at checkout. So, my friends, spots are going to fill up fast. If you want to quickly get on track for a life with more peace, go to the website on the screen. I'll leave it up there for a few more seconds. And again, if you're watching this as a replay, go ahead and pause it. This is part of our efforts to give back. And, you don't need a degree in psychology. You don't need, the tens upon tens of thousands of dollars that Stephanie and I have spent on our own healing journey to be able to experience this shift. In fact, what you really need is just the desire to try something different. So I wanted to make it easier for those of you who are looking to make that sort of shift. So go to the website. You'll learn more about what I do. You'll hear from other clients I've worked with. You'll get a better understanding of how this all works. And if you go ahead and book your session, you're going to have access to your own back office. I've included additional trainings, a questionnaire to help you really get clear on what your biggest opportunities are here, and the opportunity to go ahead and book your session. So I've got spots coming up over the next week or so. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. As always, it's a joy and pleasure to come here. We love and appreciate you all. And again, this is David, just reminding you that your best life may lie just ahead. All it takes is just a simple shift. So thank you again. Have a wonderful night. Anything you need, any questions, post them in the comments. I will personally circle back to you and or Stephanie as well. And have a wonderful night and take care, everybody.